Good morning, students. Today, in our tutorial, we are going to do chapter number 8, the singing lesson from your book Echoes. By the end of the video, you will be able to tell about the author Catherine Mansfield, narrate summary of the chapter, the singing lesson, discuss the main themes of this chapter. Now, let us know about our author, Catherine Mansfield. Catherine Mansfield, a prominent modernist short story writer, was born on October 14, 1888 in Wellington, New Zealand and died on January 9, 1923. In 1903, she moved to London, where she attended Queen's College along with her sisters. She also began contributing to the college newspaper with such dedication that she eventually became its editor. The Singing Lesson, a short story in the collection The Garden Party and Other Stories, deals with a music teacher, Miss Meadows, who directed her class according to her changing moods. With her fiancé Basil's letter expressing his disgust with their relationship, she lost all her hope and her singing class was sorrowful. But when she received his telegram, she was suddenly filled with happiness. Through the use of internal monologue, the writer shifts in and out of Miss Meadows' mind and succeeds in revealing her psychological state. Now let us discuss the summary of the chapter, The Singing Lesson. Miss Meadows, a music teacher filled with despair, was walking down the corridor to reach the music hall. The girls, on the other hand, were filled with happiness and excitement. On her way to the hall, she came across a science teacher of the school. Their conversation shows they are not on good terms with each other. Mary Beasley, her favorite student, was there to play the accompaniments at the piano. Miss Meadows was filled with anguish and in frustration asked the girls to maintain silence. The words of the letter sent to her by her fiancé Basil pierced her to the heart. I feel more and more strongly that our marriage would be a mistake. Not that I do not love you. I love you as much as it is possible for me to love any woman. But, truth to tell, I have come to the conclusion that I am not a marrying man, and the idea of settling down fills me with nothing but disgust. Then he cut the word disgust and wrote regret. Though he later cut the word disgust and wrote regret instead, but he did not find it important to remove the word properly. The disgust was clearly visible, and this broke Miss Meadows' heart. In the music hall, Mary Beasley, as a part of daily ritual, offered Miss Meadows a yellow chrysanthemum. But Miss Meadows ignored it and asked her students to begin at page 14, a lament. She asked the girls to sing it without expression. She wondered what could have forced Basil to write such a letter. Basil's words that he was not a marrying man again occupied her mind. Miss Meadows then asked the girls to infuse their song with as much expression as they could. She instructed them to sing drear as if a cold wind were blowing through it. The fact that her engagement was broken off tortured her. She remembered the miraculous night when Basil admitted that he was fond of her. The thought that she would have to leave the school and disappear somewhere out of shame preoccupied her. She was then called by the headmistress, Miss Wyatt. Miss Wyatt handed over to her a telegram from Basil which read, "Pay no attention to the letter. Must have been mad. Bought hat stand today. Basil." The fact that Basil would still marry her filled her with hope and joy. She went back to the classroom and asked the girls to sing a happy song. Miss Meadows thus sang with a voice full, deep, glowing with expression. Now, students, read the summary of Chapter 8, the singing lesson, in detail from your workbook on echoes. Now, let us do the themes of this story. The first theme is appearance and reality. The second, despair and dejection. The third will be reliance and appearance. And the fourth, music. Now let us do the first theme, appearance and reality. Before we start, note down the word meanings so that you are later able to understand the theme properly. Appearance means the way that somebody looks or seems. Reality means the way life really is and not the way it may appear. Glance means take a brief look. Outwardly means externally. Amicable means friendly. Rivalries means competition between people or groups. Faculty means one department in a university, college, etc. Evident means clear or obvious. Greets means to welcome somebody when you meet. Grimace is an expression of pain or strong dislike, etc. Worried means anxious. Miracle means an extremely outstanding or unusual event. Engagement means an agreement to get married. Now let us read the theme, appearance and reality. Catherine Mansfield has used simple language in her story to bring out the theme of appearance versus reality. This theme is not reflected at the first glance, and the story appears to be about a music teacher in all-girls school. Work environment. The teachers outwardly appear amicable. Amicable means friendly. However, there are rivalries among the faculty. This is evident from the exchange, means the words exchanged between the science mistress and Miss Meadows. This is evident from the exchange between the science mistress and Miss Meadows. The science mistress greets Miss Meadows in her sweet, affected drawl. Her affected drawl shows that she adopted a fake accent in which the vowels were prolonged, which was simply something mocking or the way we make fun of someone. She said Miss Meadows looked frozen with a mocking light in her blue eyes. Mocking means as if making fun of someone. Miss Meadows gave a quick grimace in response. So grimace means an ugly expression. Miss Meadows was worried that she would have to disappear when the news of her broken engagement became public. She believed she could never face the science mistress. So, this shows that the two teachers who looked friendly were not at good terms with each other. They were not friends. Now, next is relationship with Basil. Miss Meadows is a 30-year-old spinster. Spinster means an unmarried girl, past marriageable age for a lady in those times. Children, even now, an unmarried girl of 30 is not happily accepted by the society. People start finding faults in such girls and sometimes give remarks about their character as well. She was surprised when Basil, 5 years her junior, proposed her. Her junior means Basil was younger to her. When people came to know about her engagement with Basil, a man 5 years younger to her, they were surprised. The science mistress would not believe it at first. Miss Meadows herself considered it a miracle. The letter of Basil that I had shown you in the summary had filled Miss Meadows' heart with sadness and hopelessness. So, this proposal, which seems to be out of love, is actually a way to avoid sarcasm of society. I hope you have understood this theme. Now, our next theme is despair and dejection. First of all, note down the meanings that you are going to come across. The first meaning is despair, which means the state of having lost all hope. Dejection means unhappy or disappointed. Protagonist means main character in a film, play, or book. Corridors means a long narrow passage in a building or train. Trod means it is a past participle form of tread and it means walked. Stark means unpleasant or impossible to avoid. Gleeful means happy or excited. Rendered means to cause something or somebody to be in a certain condition. Chrysanthemum is a large garden flower which is brightly colored and shaped like a ball. Sigh means a long deep breath. Sob means to cry while taking in sudden sharp breath. Groan means to make a deep sound because you are in pain. Mournfulness means feeling or expression of sorrow. Frightened means full of fear or worry. Anguish means great mental pain or suffering. Now let us read it. The story begins with despair, with the words despair, cold, sharp despair. This theme of despair and dejection is projected by the protagonist, Miss Meadows. Miss Meadows' first appearance. Miss Meadows was filled with despair, cold, sharp despair, while she was going to the music hall to take her class. The cold corridors that she trod upon reflected her cold, despaired self. Her sadness was in stark contrast to the gleeful excitement of the girls in the school. The teacher, Miss Meadows, was upset, but the girls, as they had come to school after holidays, they were very happy. So, sadness of Miss Meadows was in contrast to the happiness of the girls. Miss Meadows' utter hopelessness. Basil's letter, the one I had shown you in the summary, that he would not be able to marry Miss Meadows rendered her completely hopeless and dejected. She felt as if she were bleeding to death. She was so troubled from inside that she even ignored the yellow chrysanthemum given to her by her favorite student, Mary Beasley. Remember, children, this yellow chrysanthemum flower marks hope, and because she has left it, it means there was no hope with her. A lament. Now, this is the song that she had chosen for girls to sing that day. This song, a lament, itself mirrors the broken self of Miss Meadows. Miss Meadows' choice of song, a lament, to teach her girls was clearly symbolic of her dejected inner self and reflected her low spirits. The lines, fast, too fast fade the roses of pleasure. Soon autumn yields unto winter drear. Reflect how happiness is short lived, and this is what Meadows was also feeling then. Every note was a sigh, a sob, a groan of awful mournfulness. The directions that she gave to the girls to use their expression and imagination while singing frightened them. Her instructions to make the drear sound as if a cold wind were blowing through it, and then on the world away they must begin to die, to fade, reflected her inner anguish. Every instruction she gave, every word of the song reflected the broken heart of Miss Meadows and the death like pain she was going through. Now, children, let us do our next theme, which is reliance and appearance. Before we start reading the theme, first of all, note down the meanings of the difficult words in it. The first word is companionship, which means pleasant feeling of being with someone. The second word is relied, which means to depend on somebody. The third word is prospective, which means likely to happen or possible. Matrimony means the state of being married. Normalcy means state of being normal. Frowned means to show you are angry. Desperate means out of control and ready to do anything. Affection means a feeling of liking someone. Terrified means very sad. Disgust means feeling of strong dislike or disapproval. Now let us read the theme. The protagonist, Miss Meadows, was a 30 years old unmarried woman. She wanted to get married to Basil, not for love or companionship, but to be accepted in the society. Children, I have told you earlier also that a girl, and that also an unmarried girl of 30, is not happily accepted by the society. She is looked down upon by others. She relied on the prospective matrimony for the appearance of normalcy, since being an old spinster, she was frowned upon. Thus, Basil's letter that he would not be able to marry her tore her apart, gave her a lot of sorrow. She felt hopeless and sad and felt as if she were bleeding to death. She was desperate to get married to him for her honor and grace, not for love or affection. She was not concerned by how much or little Basil loved her, as she reflected. I don't mind how much it is. Love me as little as you like. She was ready to settle for a man who might not love her at all. She was so terrified at the idea of not getting married that she even considered the school. She considered the school here means she thought she would be leaving it. She also decided not to face the science mistress or the girls ever if the news of her being single again came out. So she's so upset. She makes up her mind to leave her job if Basil doesn't marry her. She relied on her marriage so much that if it didn't happen, she would leave the job. The institution of marriage seems weak in the story. It was through a letter that Basil broke off this relationship with her and re-established it through a telegram. The idea of marrying and settling down filled him with disgust. Miss Meadows, on the other hand, was desperate to marry him, no matter what. She didn't want any love from him. She only wanted him to marry her, even if he loves him very less. If he is not ready to accept her, even then he should marry her only to save her from sarcasm of the society. Now the next is, as soon as she receives the telegram from Basil that he was not calling off their marriage, she got excited and happy. She couldn't take her eyes off the telegram. The fact that Basil would still be marrying her was much more important to her than the fact that he might not love her. Which means she's not bothered if she is going to get love in the marriage or not. She's only bothered about saving her grace in the society. So this institution of marriage seems so small in the eyes of Basil. Now our next theme is music. Before we start reading it, note down the meanings. The first word is turmoil, which means a state of great noise or confusion. The next word is influence, which means power to change, affect, or control something or somebody. Lament means an expression of sadness. Willow is a tree with long, thin branches which hang down and often grow near water. If you remember, a willow leaf in many of the stories of Shakespeare is taken as symbol of dejection, dejected love. When a lover rejects her love, or when a boy rejects a girl, the person shows a willow leaf. Melancholy means a feeling of sadness. Frightened means full of fear or worry. Drear means sad. Instinctively means not thought about or planned. Divulging means to tell something that is secret. Eager means keen. Intensity means the quality of being felt strongly or having a strong effect. Interlude means a period of time between two events or activities. Vanish means to disappear suddenly. Whisper means to speak very quietly. Now let us read the theme. Miss Meadows' love for music is reflected in the story, as music is the central theme around which all the drama takes place. Miss Meadows is a music teacher. She allows her inner turmoil to influence her choice of song while she is teaching. She picks up a lament, which means a sad song, as the first song. She instructs the students to sing it without expression. The song was so mournful that the willow trees outside lost half their leaves. So the writer wants to say that when the girls were singing that sad song, even the willow tree lost all its leaves. Means even the tree outside was so upset at the sound of the song that it lost all its leaves. The environment responded to the sad music. Even the students began to feel positively frightened. Then, as melancholy in Miss Meadows' mind rises, she asks her students to take it with expression, with making drear sound, as if a cold wind were blowing through it. These instructions clearly depict the broken self of Miss Meadows. As a reflection of the teacher's mood, the music becomes successively depressing. Because her mood is depressing, the music itself becomes depressing. The students instinctively pick up the mood of their teacher as a result. The music serves as an emotional outlet for Miss Meadows without her divulging her private thoughts. Obviously, the teacher cannot discuss her private thoughts with the girls, but the choice of song and the instructions that she is giving to her children clearly depicts her broken self. After the receipt means receiving of Basil's telegram, Miss Meadows is on the wings of hope, love, of joy, and the song she chooses is a happy one. So when she reads the letter, she makes choice of a sad song. Now, when she receives the telegram which shows that Basil would still be marrying her, she makes the choice of a happy song. The music is now warm, joyful, and eager. Music sets the mood of the story. The despair increases in intensity and then begins to fade, with voices began to die, to fade, to whisper, to vanish. Music stops. The door opens, and the mistress, who's the mistress here? Miss White. Mistress Messenger enters, and who was the messenger? Monica. After a brief interlude, the mood changes and music becomes warm, joyful, and eager. And what happened in this interlude? Miss White gave Miss Meadows the telegram of Basil. I hope you have understood all the themes and the summary of the chapter. Now, your homework for today is that you have to plan first 3 pages of chapter 8, the singing lesson, from your textbook, Echoes, a collection of ISC short stories. Thank you.